back in the early 1900s, life in Fort Stockton revolved around this here hotel that I'm standing in. I'm standing in the kitchen to be exact. Now they say that when this hotel was open, it was the nicest hotel all the way from San Antonio to El Paso, which says a lot. Now this wasn't just a hotel where people could stay and rest their head, it was also a place of community, and that is thanks to one woman.
The town kind of revolved around this hotel for many, many years.
For over 25 years, this adobe brick hotel was a staple piece here in Fort Stockton, providing shelter, fellowship, and hot meals to travelers who needed it. And it's thanks to this woman right here, Annie Riggs. But who exactly is this Annie Riggs, you may ask?
Annie Riggs moved here when she was 8 years old, right after the fort was put in. And so she lived here from the very beginnings of Fort Stockton. She was married twice and divorced twice. And so after her second husband, Barney Riggs, she was working here at the hotel and realized that she was going to need to support herself and her children. And so she bought the hotel and made money.
At the age of 46, Riggs brought the Kohler Hotel in 1904 and changed it to the Riggs Hotel. And as a single mom, her and her 10 children ran it themselves.
This was the nicest hotel between San Antonio and El Paso. So everyone who was traveling east or west wanted to stay here if they could afford it. So yeah, it was the best hotel.
And with the courthouse next door, the hotel attracted mainly judges and lawyers.
It was 50 cents for half a room. So there would be 2 beds in a room. And if you wanted the whole room, you would pay $1. So, which was pretty expensive.
Your stay at the Annie Riggs Hotel was also always not complete without a good meal and some entertainment.
This was the dining room, and this was where she served all the meals for the hotel guests and for the people that came from Fort Stockton in town. And so she would entertain, she would play the piano, people would come here. She served meals to anyone that wanted to come in and buy a meal for 35 cents. So this was her kitchen where she prepared all of her food. It also is where she passed away. They brought her bed in here so that she could be warmed by the stove. And she ended up passing away here in 1931.
Annie Riggs passed away at the age of 76 in a place she loved. And even though she may no longer be here, her legacy in Fort Stockton still remains.
Maltese the jail.
Hotel still stands tall today, but now it serves as a museum. I'm here now with Ross Harper, the director of the museum. Thank you so much, Ross, for joining me. My first question for you is, how did this hotel become a museum now?
Well, in 1954, the Fort Stockton Historic Society formed expressly to take over this building. So in 1955, 14 of Annie Riggs' relatives gave the building to the Historic Society, and it became a museum, so it's been 67 years.
Wow.
And yeah, it's very exciting. It's a beautiful building, and so we've helped to preserve it.
Oh yeah,
so,
oh yeah. And
yeah.
I know my other question for you, when you go through the museum, there's rooms with blue doors, and they were former hotel rooms at the time, but now when you go inside the rooms, it's rich, Fort Stockton history. Can you talk about that?
Fort Stockton has such an incredible history. It goes back, and so what they did when they designed the museum is they took each hotel room and they did a chronological story of Fort Stockton and the area. So it starts off with mastodon tusks, and then it goes to Native Americans, and then to cowboys, businessmen, and all the way up until 1941 when we had an Air Force training facility here in Fort Stockton. And so it tells that whole story.
Yeah, and I even know we're in a room now, Annie's room, which is beautiful.
This is the room that honors Annie. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And if anyone's thinking about stopping by the museum and paying it a visit, can you tell them how they can do that?
Yeah, we're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5.